The lasagna dish felt warm between my palms as I walked up the path to my parents' home. Sunday dinner was a ritual that had been in place for as long as I could recall. Despite living a 40-minute drive away and enduring 60-hour work weeks, I never failed to attend. The comforting aroma of my mother's garlic bread drifted from the screen door, mingling with the sound of hushed voices inside. Just as I was about to reach for the handle, I heard my own name. "John won't be a problem," my father said from the kitchen. "He never says no to us." I froze, my hand hovering just before the door. "But 300,000. My mother's voice was tight with a kind of worry I hadn't heard before. "That's an incredible amount. How did you ever?" "The how isn't important," my older sister, Jessica, cut in, her tone sharp and defensive. "What's important is getting it handled before they launch legal proceedings. You promised you'd help me." "And we will," my father stated with authority. "Your brother just got that big promotion, don't forget. Senior financial analyst at that firm downtown. He must be pulling in $150,000 a year now." "More," Jessica corrected. He mentioned something about bonuses. A cold knot formed in my stomach, and the lasagna suddenly felt like it was made of lead. "We'll tell him it's for the house," my mother said, and I could hear the self-justification in her voice, the tone she always used when trying to convince herself that something wrong was right. "We can say the roof needs repairs, maybe the foundation. We can start with 30,000, then add on some medical bills. I'll claim I need a few procedures. We'll spread it out over time. He'll pay." "He always does," my dad added. "Remember when Jessica needed that 20,000 for her business idea 5 years back? He gave it without a second thought. Didn't even ask for it back when the company folded." "That's because John doesn't grasp how the real world operates," Jessica said with a sneer I could practically visualize. "He still believes family actually means something. It's almost pathetic." "Don't speak about your brother like that," my mother said, but her protest was feeble. "I'm just pointing out that he's always been naive. Didn't he hand over his entire $40,000 signing bonus to help you with the mortgage? Who does that?" "A good son," my father replied, but the way he said it sounded more like a foolish son. "My point exactly," Jessica continued. "So, we'll sort this out. Pay off my debt. Maybe we'll have enough left over for that little vacation home you two have been eyeing. John will never know what hit him. We'll space out the requests, make each one sound desperate. He can't say no when Mom starts crying." "I don't like being dishonest with him," my mother murmured. "It's not dishonesty," Jessica countered. "We're family. His money is our money. Besides, he has no wife, no kids. What else is he even spending it on?" My jaw tightened as I thought about my downtown apartment, the one I'd worked my tail off to afford. "He'll be okay," my father said with an air of finality. "John's always been okay. He handles things, and we need this handled." "Jessica, are you certain there's no other option?" "Not unless you want me to end up in federal prison for tax evasion and fraud. This is the only way. My lawyer said if I can pay it back before the audit deepens, they'll likely drop it with just penalties." Tax evasion. Fraud. My accomplished sister, the one with the luxury car and the oversized house, the one my parents boasted about constantly, was a criminal. And they were concocting a scheme to have me foot the bill. "We'll get started next week," my mother resolved. "After dinner tonight, I'll bring up the roof. Just to plant the seed. Make it convincing," Jessica instructed. "Cry if you have to. John turns into pudding when you cry." I stepped back from the door, slow and silent, my entire frame trembling. The lasagna dish tilted in my sweaty grasp, but I steadied it. I couldn't make a sound. I couldn't let them know I knew. My car was down the street, and I reached it on legs that felt like they were made of jelly. Sitting in the driver's seat, the lasagna cooling on my lap, I tried to absorb what I'd just heard. My own family, the people for whom I would have done anything, were plotting to deceive me, to turn my love for them into a weapon against me. The $40,000 signing bonus I'd given them had forced me to live on instant noodles for a year to rebuild my savings. The $20,000 for Jessica's failed business had cost me a vacation I'd planned for 3 years. Every single time they asked for money, I had provided it without hesitation, believing I was being a good son and brother. All along, they had seen me as a target, a naive fool ripe for exploitation. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. *, where are you, honey? Dinner is on the table. *, I stared at the message before replying. *, sorry. Got called back to the office. Emergency audit. Rain check star. The 3 dots appeared almost instantly. *, oh no. But we have something important to discuss. Can it wait? * the roof. She was starting with the roof, just as they'd planned. *, sorry, Mom. Boss says it's critical. Love you, star. I drove home in a stupor, the lasagna on the passenger seat like a piece of evidence from my former life, the life where I thought my family loved me, not just my income. By the time I walked into my apartment, a new strategy was taking shape in my mind. If they wanted to play games, fine. But they had underestimated their opponent. That evening, I sat at my computer and began transferring funds. Every savings account, every investment, every liquid asset was moved into new accounts they knew nothing about. I followed up with a call to my bank to place fraud alerts on everything, changed all my passwords, and activated 2-factor authentication. My phone rang incessantly with calls from my mom, dad, and Jessica. I sent them all to voicemail. Monday morning, I requested a meeting with my boss, Karen Richards. She was a shrewd woman in her 50s who had built a career on her ability to read people. I need some advice, I said, closing the door. It's personal, but it could impact my work. She leaned back, observing me. Go on. I told her the entire story, the conversation I'd overheard, the years of financial requests, Jessica's legal predicament. She listened patiently, her expression hardening with every word. First, she said when I finished, you are handling this with remarkable composure. Most people would be falling apart. Second, you need legal counsel. Not for you, but as a shield against what they might attempt. Third, and this is crucial, document everything. Every call for money, every past transaction, every communication. I've already started, I told her, showing her the spreadsheet I had created. 5 years of my finances bleeding out, all detailed in black and white. Nearly $200,000. Karen let out a low whistle. John, I'm going to offer some advice that might be overstepping, but I believe you need to hear it. Your family is not your burden. Their debts, their crimes, their poor decisions, none of that falls on you. I know, I said, though the words didn't yet feel true. I'm also going to propose something else, she continued. We have an opening in our London office. Same role, better compensation, and most critically, an entire ocean between you and them. Are you interested? London. 3,000 miles away from the people who saw me as an ATM. When would I need to start? Next month. We would arrange the visa, moving costs, everything. Think of it as a clean slate. That night, the calls grew more frantic. 23 missed calls from my mother, 15 from my father, 31 from Jessica. The voicemails shifted from feigned concern to frustration, then to desperation. John, this is getting ridiculous. Call your mother honey, please. We're getting worried stop being so dramatic and pick up the phone, John. This is serious. Jessica needs us. Family helps family star. On Tuesday, I finally answered a call from Jessica. Jesus Christ, John, where have you been? Working, I replied coolly. You know, at the job you all seem to think is a magical money tree. What is that supposed to mean? It means I'm busy, Jessica. What do you need? We need to speak as a family. Can you come for dinner tomorrow? I can't. I have other plans. Plans? What plans could possibly be more important than your family? The kind of plans where people aren't plotting to swindle me out of $300,000. The silence on her end was profound. Then, I have no idea what you're talking about. Tax evasion and fraud, Jessica. Is that specific enough? And you were going to have me pay for it. You were going to have Mom and Dad lie to me, manipulate me. You were listening? You were eavesdropping on a private family conversation. I was bringing lasagna for Sunday dinner. Remember family? That thing you said I foolishly believe in. John, listen to me. It's not what it seems. It's precisely what it seems. You were planning to con me, your own brother. The one who has bailed you out for years. I'm in real trouble, John. I could end up in prison. Then you should have considered that before you committed fraud. Are you honestly going to let me go to prison over some money? Money you can easily spare. I couldn't afford the $40,000 I gave Mom and Dad. I couldn't afford the $20,000 I gave you. I couldn't afford any of it, but I did it anyway because I thought that's what families do. It appears I was mistaken about what family means. John, please. I ended the call. The texts began pouring in, begging from Jessica, guilt-tripping from my mom, demands from my dad. I archived every single one without reading them. Wednesday brought a different strategy. My mother appeared at my office building during my lunch break, tears carving paths down her face. John, please, just talk to me. I'm your mother. I stood in the marble lobby, watching the woman who raised me perform a dramatic sob, and I felt utterly numb. The tears that had once been my undoing now just looked theatrical. We can talk, I said. Right here, in front of everyone. Can't we find somewhere private? No. Say what you came to say. She glanced nervously at the people walking past. Your sister is in a lot of trouble. I'm aware. Tax evasion and fraud. She told me she made some errors, but she's our family. We're obligated to help her. No, you are obligated to help her. She's your daughter. Use your own money. We don't have that kind of money, and you know it. Then Jessica should have considered that before she broke federal laws. How can you be so cold? This isn't the John the First, no. You're right. The old John would have already written the check. The old John would have believed you when you said family helps family. But the old John didn't know his family was planning to exploit him, to use his love as a tool. My mother's face turned white. How did you? Does it matter? What matters is I know exactly how you all view me. The naive son. The family ATM. The mark I began quoting them. He'll never say no to family. He doesn't understand how the real world works. John turns into pudding when you cry. Should I continue? The tears were real now, not the manufactured kind. We were desperate. No, I said. You were greedy. There is a very big difference. I left her standing there in the lobby and returned to my office. That afternoon, I officially accepted the position in London. Thursday was silent. Too silent. The absence of calls and texts made me uneasy. On Friday, I discovered why. As I was leaving my desk for the weekend, security buzzed my office. Mr. Winters, there's a process server here for you. My family was suing me. The lawsuit claimed that the money I had given them over the years were actually loans, and that I was now demanding immediate repayment, causing them severe emotional and financial distress. I stared at the documents and started to laugh. An actual, genuine laugh. They were attempting to legally compel me to give them more money by alleging that I was forcing them to give me money back. It was so completely absurd, so profoundly pathetic, I couldn't even muster any anger. I phoned the lawyer Karen had suggested. They don't have a leg to stand on, she said after reviewing the documents. No written contracts, no documentation whatsoever. This is pure harassment. We can file a countersuit if you'd like. No, I said. I don't want their money. I just want to be done with them. That weekend, I began to pack, not just for a move to London, but for an entirely new life. One where love wasn't a transaction and family meant more than a shared bloodline. Jessica called one final time, using a number I didn't recognize. "You're actually going to let me go to prison?" "I'm not letting you do anything, Jessica," I said. "You're going to prison because you broke the law. Those are called consequences. I could lose everything. I've already lost everything. My family, my trust, my belief in the people who were supposed to love me unconditionally. But you know what? It feels liberating. I no longer have to pretend that any of you cared about me for anything other than my wallet." "That's not true," she pleaded. "You literally sat in Mom's kitchen and planned how to manipulate me. You laughed about my naivety, about how I didn't understand the real world. Well, congratulations. I understand it perfectly now. John, please. I'm begging you." "Beg someone else," I said. "I'm done." I hung up and blocked the new number. The movers arrived on a Tuesday. I watched them pack up my existence, each sealed box another step away from the family that had used me. My phone had been quiet for days. They had finally surrendered. While doing a final walkthrough of the empty apartment, I discovered an old lasagna dish in the back of a cabinet, the one I had been carrying that Sunday, filled with food made with love for people who saw me as nothing more than a resource. I tossed it into the trash. At the airport, waiting for my flight to London, I received one last text from an unknown number. I nearly deleted it, but curiosity got the better of me. It was from my mother. *, I'm sorry. Not for needing help, but for how we planned to get it. You deserve better. I hope someday you can forgive us. *. I looked at the message for a long moment, then typed my reply. *, I hope someday you can deserve forgiveness. *. Then I shut down my phone and got on the plane. 6 months later, I received word through my lawyer that Jessica had been sentenced to 18 months in federal prison. My parents had lost their house trying to cover her legal fees and had moved in with an aunt in Florida. I felt nothing, no satisfaction, no guilt, not even anger. They were just people from another lifetime. My new life in London was everything my old one was not. I had colleagues who became true friends, and relationships founded on mutual respect instead of exploitation. I was learning to trust again, cautiously and deliberately. Sometimes, on a quiet Sunday morning, I would make a lasagna just for me, remembering the boy who used to carry his heart in a casserole dish, hoping this time his family would see him and not just his bank account. That boy was gone. In his place was someone stronger, someone who knew that the most loving act you can perform for yourself is to walk away from those who only love what you can provide. Family isn't about blood. It's about who supports you without first checking your balance. And sometimes, the only person who truly shows up for you is you. That was the real world. And now, at long last, I understood.